Rain can really make you do strange things, isn't it?
Only for India.
And for Pakistan, because never in the history of cricket have I seen such blatant favoritism, such blatant preferential treatment. I have never seen in my entire cricketing career. Whatever I have seen, whatever I have read about, whatever I have researched about for so many years. I mean, what has happened today? We know that the rain threat is immense for Colombo on even September 10th, which is 75%. That is the reason why the Asian Cricket Council, in an unprecedented step, has decided that okay, just for India versus Pakistan, let's have a reserve day. Only one game in the entire Super Force has a reserve day.
So you're looking at 6 Super 4 games, of which there's just one that has a reserve day.
That has a reserve day.
We don't even know if the final has a reserve day.
It has. Final has a reserve
Final has a reserve day.
India-Pakistan gets one.
India-Pakistan gets one. And what wrong did Sri Lanka and Bangladesh do? Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are also teams participating. Why can't there be a total level playing field? But because it's India, because it's Pakistan, you cannot expect a level playing field. Never. Because these two teams, because they have the maximum fans, they get the eyeballs. The revenue is generated only in an India-Pakistan encounter. Maximum number of interest will be around India-Pakistan. Forget India versus Sri Lanka. Forget India versus Bangladesh. Forget even Pakistan-Sri Lanka. Those are also matches. They are not side exhibition games. But only India-Pakistan will get it.
In fact, if you were to just look at the weightages of every match, a Sri Lanka-Pakistan match would actually have been a replay of last year's final. So that also, by the way, doesn't have the kind of credence that, or the kind of weight that a Pakistan-India match has at the moment. And if you were to just try to apply logic to what exactly has been happening over the last couple of weeks as far as the Asia Cup is concerned, every decision, everything revolving around two teams just gives you an impression that these are just ways that could be the broadcaster, could be the stakeholders involved, that the entire system perhaps is just
revolving around this match.
It is revolving around these two teams, and you are just trying to ensure that that bilateral series, which you perhaps have been wanting to have between the two nations and have not been able to have for obvious reasons, this is becoming more of a bilateral series which is being called the Asia Cup.
Yes, it is called the Asia Cup, but it's an India-Pakistan
with a few
bilateral
other
series.
teams having a side quest.
And we are joined by Nikhil from the R. Premadasa Stadium, a surprisingly dry R. Premadasa Stadium. Nikhil, can you hear us?
It was sunny today at the Premadasa, and Nikhil will be able to share and shed more light on that. Nikhil, am I right in terms of saying that it was bright and shiny over there, at least when the first team was practicing there? I believe the Indian team will be practicing very shortly.
I'm not going to answer that question, because to know the answer to that question, you guys have to watch the report that I've just put on Sports Today. It's just fresh off the oven. It's just been served to everyone who wants to consume it. It's quite appetizing. It's up on Sports Today right now as I speak. So check that out for a detailed report. But since Harshad asked me a question, I'll give a one-word answer: yes. But for a detailed report, check that video out. Meanwhile, this is, as Siddharth said, the famous Premadasa Stadium, or as the locals call it, Khettarama. I'm not looking at the ground, and or rather, I'm looking at the ground with the stands in my background. Earlier, or typically, I would have the ground in my background, but I'm not doing that because a few of these Sri Lankan batsmen are really hammering the ball this side. They're all flying, so I don't want to, hit on my head, lest my Asia Cup ends right now and I have to come back. So as a precautionary measure, as I speak, there's one ball coming little far away from me. There it is. But you know what I'm going to do? If there's one that is going to come in my vicinity, I'm going to attempt a catch. I'm going to try and do it, and I hope I can catch it. But yeah, good news all along throughout this day. As I said, for more details, check that video out. However, I will give you some latest update latest update adding to the subject that you guys are discussing. The Sri Lankan coach, what's his
Chandrika Hatturusinghe.
last name? Hatturusinghe, yes.
Chandrika
Sorry, it's a tongue twister. Hatturusinghe, right?
Hatturusinghe,
He was
yeah.
there for the press. Oh, there's one. No, far back behind me. Like, there in the stand. You hear it?
Yep.
You hear it?
Yeah.
I was going to go for it, but it's really far back. I thought I'd catch it.
Can you
Came in
make
my
out who's
direction,
the
one
batter
more,
hitting it?
One more. I think it looks like Shanaka. I think so. From far away, it's tough. I
Okay.
think so. That's one shot. But they keep rotating it, so
Yep.
very tough to keep a track. He's very happy, elated. Oh, must have hit some 30, 40 sixes. Oh, Mr. Vivek is here. Go. No, you have to go out and then come. I don't think you can come in from here. Band hai na aap. This is closed. So, yeah, just updating you. The Sri Lankan coach as well as the Bangladesh coach, Chris Silverwood, that's an easier name to pronounce. They were both there, and take notice of this. What exactly have they said? They both said that this is not done. What you have done to make a special arrangement for two teams to have a reserve day, this is not done. You can't do it. It's never happened in a tournament before. And what they've said is, what if we don't qualify on the basis of not getting a reserve day? And what if we don't qualify for the final? If that happens, they will then register an official protest. Right now, they have let us know their disappointment in the press conference. Unfortunately, can't put the press conference on Sports. But what they've said is, in case their qualification is in jeopardy, then they are going to make an official complaint. And which is right. I mean, it's an interesting perspective. So India, Pakistan, whichever team, because of a reserve day, get a result, will lose whatever. They get a result, then their chances are boosted, right, in terms of qualifying for the final. What about these guys? Games washed out the next day. What do you do then? So, interestingly, both coaches echoing exactly the same thing when I was there just now, a short while ago in the press conference.
Nikhil, it's becoming this whole tournament in many ways, isn't this? It's becoming, let's say, controversy's child in many ways.
Sorry, come again, Harshit. They're disturbing me.
Yeah.
The camera person from ADP is disturbing me. He's asking me questions in the middle of my life. Tell me again. Sorry, I lost your question.
What I was saying was, in many ways, with whatever time has elapsed in this Asia Cup, or even if we are to go back in time, where you first talked about the hybrid model, then one board saying very clearly we're not going to come. Then you looked at the hybrid model. Then you were looking at venue changes. Now you're looking at a reserve day. So it's becoming more of, let's say, this whole Asia Cup, fair to say that it's becoming by every passing day, by each passing day, controversy's child, so to say.
It is, no doubt about that. It is, with the rain, the organization. I don't want it, I don't want it to go out of Pakistan. Then it went out of Pakistan. They wanted it in UAE, didn't happen there. Then the confusion between Amban, Tota and this. I agree. And I think, it is a poor reflection of the management done by the Asian Cricket Council, and I think those questions are pretty valid, need to be looked at. Even this included, right, special reserve day for India versus Pakistan. And as much as I've criticized it, I can understand the logic behind it. Though as I said, it's never happened before. And I agree. There's an economic play behind it. And just to explain to our viewers why this is happening, that the majority of the money that comes in for this particular tournament comes in from that India versus Pakistan game. One, the broadcaster pays far more for just those matches. I think in terms of the total, they're paying, if I'm not mistaken, about 60 crore is what they're paying on an average per match, but a lot of it is because of that India versus Pakistan game. If that wasn't to happen, I'm sure there are clauses in that agreement where they then don't end up paying that kind of money or have to pay portion of that. So which is why I can understand why the Asian Cricket Council is looking at this way, that you have to look at a reserve day, especially considering that the earlier India-Pakistan game got washed out. Now, look at it from the Indian point of view. A lot of people are saying that, India also wanted because it's so much money for them. But let me just put things into perspective. It's not so much about India, right? India can actually do away with the Asia Cup. They can do away with it. They're going to get about from the entire duration of the Asia Cup, if I'm not mistaken, my calculation, if it's right, about 110 crore. Each board gets from the TV rights for the entire Asia Cup. You do know that a single game of the IPL right now is valued at 118 crore, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
that's
Single
right.
game of the
118.
IPL.
Yeah.
So the entire Asia Cup, the purse from entire Asia Cup, so the BCCI can make it from just one single IPL game. So for India, it's not so much, like money, this and that. It is more so looking at other boards. It's looking at a board like Sri Lanka. It's looking at a board like the Pakistan Cricket Board. It's looking like at boards like Bangladesh, all other participating boards. For them, that's a lot of money, right? And so the more the matches happen, especially if India-Pakistan happens, that full kitty will come in. And once the full kitty comes in, who is to benefit most? It is going to be these boards. So I understand from the cricketing point of view, there is a criticism by the Bangladesh coach and by the Sri Lankan coach. And again, as I said, absolutely right that they have criticism. But if they look at the economics of it, if they were to consult the chiefs of their respective board, they would say that, fine, it's not right, it's unfair, this and that. But then that also ensures there's a lot of money coming into the board. And for the functioning of cricket, for the well-being of the cricket, that money is required. That money doesn't just go to international cricket in their respective countries. That money percolates down to lower level to sustain lower level cricket. So in the fact that India-Pakistan has got a reserve day, there is a big benefit for Bangladesh and Sri Lanka as well. Only I'm putting that perspective out. Maybe the players are unaware of it, the coaches are unaware of it. But if I was to get a board official from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, maybe he would understand it a bit more. That's not to say that this is fine. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying that there is a lot of economic play behind all of this, and I'm just trying to put that into perspective. So that's the reality. That's why the decision has been taken. And my question to all of you is, why are you guys complaining, man? India versus Pakistan, don't you want it? Don't you want a reserve day? We didn't get the earlier game.
No way. Not at the cost of this. It is blatant.
Because you're a Sri Lankan. You're a Sri Lankan, that's why.
I'll tell you why. See, in the 70s and the 80s, Australia and England, when they had to come to India, we would have had to pay them money to come here, isn't it? That was the trend that existed at that time. A tour guarantee assurance. It would be very humiliating. I mean, Australia and England are the top teams in the world. In the 70s and the 80s, India would have to pay them a tour guarantee so that please come over and play. Now the balance is tilted. In the quest for all of this, why are you, forget the economic part of it. The economics is heavily skewed towards India and Pakistan. Always. What wrong did Sri Lanka and Bangladesh do? As simple as that. Your poor mismanagement, your absolute shoddy mismanagement, keep a reserve day for everything. And remember, India's schedule is such. 10th, they can keep a reserve day on the 11th because there is no game. 12th, they will not do it because India is Sri Lanka. But already 13th, there is no game. 15th also, if it's
the most famous YouTuber on this planet, telling me. Sorry, did I interrupt you guys?
Yes, I thought somebody else had come, that's why.
Heckling me for being live. So, sorry, apologies. I ignore my audio.
Yeah.
All these people who are heckling me, I'm just giving it back to them as good as I get.
So I understand the economics that Nikhil pointed out. Fine, great. But this is blatant, absolutely blatant favoritism. So if India-Pakistan happens in two parts on 10th and 11th, then supposing if Australia versus England semi-finals there, okay, but if there is no reserve day provision, India gets a reserve day provision, then it's just like that.
Of course, the other two teams.
There is no level playing field.
And right now, Nikhil, just to add to that point, how can we, and I pretty much agree with Siddharth, with very little to add over there. How can we, let's say, look past the other two teams? In fact, let's not forget that Sri Lanka made it to the final and are defending champions of the Asia Cup. How can there not be similar treatment or equivalent treatment to the defending champion? If India were there, let's say, and if India weren't the big sharks as they are in today's day and age, wouldn't we be feeling cheated?
Yeah, I think adding to that point, I also want to say that I think people are more angry because sports is supposed to be a fair, ground for everyone. And if something like this happens, of course I understand, we all understand the economics of it, but BCCI is the one board that's going to get the most of it. Anyway, and India and Pakistan both have already qualified for the, Sorry, they have the most points?
No,
No,
only
no.
Pakistan have
Pakistan
4 points.
only. India have not had a game in the Super 4s, no?
Yeah, oh right, sorry.
Only one game has happened.
Yeah, so how's that fair on Sri Lanka and Bangladesh then?
As mentioned.
But Nikhil, since you touched upon the financial aspect of it, and let's not forget that the financial aspect in any game, not alone just cricket, in any game plays a very vital part in terms of taking the sport forward. Could there have been a better way of looking at this whole situation, keeping the financial aspect in mind, or would you say that this is the best possible solution to the existing financial issue that the boards or the ACC is faced with?
Okay, now you guys have asked me a lot of questions all together, so I'll have to try and remember all questions and I'll try and answer them one by one. Okay, firstly, kudos to all your excitement, and I'm really proud of the fact that all three of you are members of my team, because you're really standing up for the right and the correct journalism. So very happy about that. Having said that, I think I'm taking a contrarian view, and that's not that I do not want to uphold the things that are right, just as you guys are. So well done on that. I think what you guys are raising in terms of points are very valid. In fact, I raised it too as soon as this whole schedule was announced, when you were told that there is going to be a reserve day. But I'm just trying to put things into perspective as to what happens. Okay, so one by one I'm going to start. Siddharth gave an example of, England and Australia, we'd have to pay them money. That's absolutely right. There was a time where England and Australia also had the veto power. Anything that happened in cricket, they could veto it, depending like where the World Cup should be held, what should be done here, what should be done there. All of that could be vetoed, no matter how many other member nations voted for one change. Both Australia and England had the veto powers. That cricket racism, cricket apartheid, whatever you call it, existed for long. And then slowly and gradually you had some really smart, shrewd administrators in Asia wake up to it. They put the Asian bloc together, realize that, listen, there's no way that we can fight individually, put it together, and then guess what? The balance of power changed very gradually till such time that India then became this strong. Now remember, there was also a time, and it is still existent right now, there is a model in the ICC, for example, where India gets the lion's share of the revenue, because India claims that, listen, we're bringing the maximum amount of money. It's because the Indian team plays, do you get all your sponsors in ICC tournaments, right? And that's a reality. And which is why the wise people at the ICC have decided to agree with what India is saying. Otherwise, if what India said there was no merit, they wouldn't have had that bargaining power to ensure that this happens. So that's happened. That's a reality. Okay, to begin with, it happens even at the ICC level. Let me take you to other sporting examples. Right, I'm going to give you La Liga's example. Barcelona, Real Madrid get the lion's share of the television right. I mean, that's the reality. That's because majority of those rights are sold because people want to see either a Real Madrid or a Barcelona game. It happens. It happens in Formula One, where Ferrari at one point wanted the maximum amount of money. They do get the maximum amount of money. There was a time that McLaren and Ferrari wanted the maximum amount from television rights. They were given that by the FIA. So, as I'm saying, I know that if you look at it at an international level, all of this does not seem fair, and I completely agree with you. But I'll tell you one thing, and I'm also going to raise it, which is why I put the economics there. If that is the case, if they have been dealt unfairly, if that is the case, what stops the Sri Lankan board or the Bangladesh board to come out and issue a written complaint, written protest, boycott this tournament? They can very well do that, right? We'll wait and see if that happens. We haven't heard from them in a short while from now. I only told you what the coaches said, but the coaches' line is not always what the board's line is going to be. I've just mentioned that. But I would like to wait for them to do. And I'd be very surprised if they end up doing that because of the economics, as I said. So if for them, playing this tournament is so much more important, and if they would not have any issue with doing it, as in the heads of those boards, then you and I can scream our lungs out. Would it change things? That's where we stand.
They don't have the money power. Simple.
They're toothless at the moment.
Exactly.
Sri Lanka and Bangladesh just don't have the money power. If it was Australia and England, which is kind of an equal footing, but even remember, if India's financial might is here, this is Australia and England. Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are way down here. And remember, Sri Lanka are hosting this tournament, which is a godsend, because in 2022 they couldn't do it because of the economic crisis that happened there.
Exactly.
And secondly, Sri Lanka, again, they haven't put on the chopping block here. because of BCCI and PCB's ego tussle.
No, but even Bangladesh, not just Sri Lanka.
Okay, let me tell you one more thing. One more thing. The reason why you said I mean, look at it from. I love the fact, Siddharth, that you're so, Sri Lankan in your outlook, which is good. I like it. I really like that. But I'm just telling you, you think Sri Lanka have been put on the chopping block? Do you think they view it like that? And do you think that this decision would have been taken without consulting the board that is hosting this tournament at the moment? Do you think that is going to be happening? I doubt it. And why will that happen? Let me just give you a few things. You got to realize that, in a sense, the fact that this tournament is happening here is also kind of a favor done to them by the powers that be. So this tournament has come there. They are going to get money for the ground rental. There's going to be tourism here, all of that, and they realize that. They realize that. Pakistan had this tournament. It could not happen for what reasons are. I don't have to give you the background. After that, they wanted it to be in the UAE, but guess what? It is, the Asian Cricket Council headed by Jay Shah, who said, no, we'll have it in Sri Lanka. Do you think all of that will be forgotten and they'd have an issue with India, Pakistan getting a reserve day for that match? I mean, just try and weigh the pros and cons. I'm just trying to say that, on the face of it, we can all be angry about it. And I like that spirit that you guys are upholding the true values of journalism and saying it, which is completely agree. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm just trying to give you the other perspective, or rather the more realistic picture of what is really happening behind the scene, which is why you will not really see a protest. I mean, if all things even, they should have had. But if all things even, then you may have been playing the Asia Cup in Pakistan or in the UAE, not come here at all. All things even, you would have had one gap day between all games. That's also not happened. Why? I mean, just look at it. You're looking at whether the reserve day for other matches should happen or not. One thing which goes in India and Pakistan's favor is that there is no match next day. You can't possibly have a reserve day for Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, unless you zero in on a different ground. But you can't, because if the match has to continue from where it's left off, it's being played at Premadasa. You got to continue in Premadasa. Then what are you going to do with India, Pakistan? You can't shift it, right? Or you shift that to a different ground, maybe the state. I mean, so that is another thing. Logistically, you can't. But it would have been interesting that if you had given a reserve day for every India match, because I think it just so happens every India match has a gap between two matches. Maybe you could look at it that way, but maybe it's not, again, logistically possible. So you can raise question marks. Even if that had happened, you would have still pointed out that, hey, 3 other matches have happened, but why not Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka? So lots of parts to this puzzle. A lot of things in motion at the moment. A lot of moving parts. So we have to look at all of that and then come to it. Right or wrong, we can all have our own opinion. And I think nobody will really argue that it's right. I don't think people will argue that it's right, that only one game has. Even I will not. Even I think it's wrong, that one match has a reserve day, the others don't. But I'm just giving you so many different reasons, because sometimes we just see things at face value. We tend to forget what all has happened for this to have happened. And while this decision is being taken, how it is also benefiting the teams that are not getting that reserve day. And which is why I'm not sure whether you will see a written complaint and an official complaint. Highly doubt it.
Yeah.
Maybe Bangladesh might doubt it when it comes from Sri Lanka. But anyway, we'll wait and watch as to what happens.
But Nikhil, just let's say speaking for the Sri Lankan board, they were also seeing the situation very clearly, and maybe there is reason for them to not look at this whole tournament as a favor, because they knew that they were, let's say, the second best position. Let's say after India had made it clear that they would not be crossing the border and going to Pakistan, Sri Lanka somewhere knew that they've got a decent chance of getting the... No. Have you not been following the news? PCB, they are the host board. They actually have the right to decide. They wanted it in the UAE. And by the way, all this talk about, UAE this time of the year, Asia Cup last time around happened this time of the year in the UAE. Only that was 20 overs, 50 overs. But then I do remember, one thing I do remember certainly, and I do remember that that the BCCI were one of the boards that were keen on playing the tournament in Sri Lanka, as well, let's say...
Exactly my point. So it is, why has it come here? because of a BCCI, right? Or why will they then have an issue with what BCCI is trying to do with a backup game? It wouldn't have come here. They do realize that it's a massive favor. By the way, I'll give you another behind the scene thing. They are also thankful for Pakistan to allowing this to happen. Pakistan's first choice wasn't Sri Lanka.
Yep.
It was the UAE. Sri Lanka know that they've got it. Pakistan later reluctantly agreed. Do you know what has happened in between that? There is a lot of discussion as to Sri Lanka is traveling to Pakistan, playing international cricket there, and Babar Azam played the Lankan Premier League. So it's not just out of the blue that Babar came and played the Lankan Premier League, which is clearly not on the most high-profile leagues. So all of that is a barter system that is happening. There are many things at play. So, to say that, this was the only option available, absolutely not true.
Yeah, when talking about this decision, how did it come to be? Was there a lot of pressure from the broadcasters, since they'll be the one that will be losing the most, or was it a proactive decision from ACC?
No. I think everyone's claiming credit for it. By the way, let me tell you, because I see reports in Pakistan media saying that we, as in the Pakistan Cricket Board, said no, we must have a reserve day. They pressed for it, and ACC have heard them. Well, I find that a bit awkward. They pressed for a lot of things, but the ACC did not agree to most of the things. So, I think it's their way of feeling very empowered. I don't think that's the reason. But you're right. I think the broadcasters have played a major role, and so it should have been. They were very upset with the fact that the earlier game did not finish, the India-Pakistan game. And that was a major jolt for them. They're also not happy about the fact that Hambantota was decided. All reservations were going to be made to go to Hambantota, a dry region. But suddenly decision was taken to stay in Colombo. So you also have to please them. There's a lot of pressure from various quarters. But all I'm happy about it in all of this, whether it's right or wrong, all I'm happy about it is the fact that the India-Pakistan game, the chances of it happening have increased twofolds now. And why I'm happy about it, because, this whole talk of India being scared and all has reached a crescendo in Pakistan, which is why I really want the Indian team to play the Pakistan team and really, in the way, let us find out in cricketing talents or in cricketing terms as in who's the better team. I must tell you that Mohammad Rizwan actually spoke to the Pakistan media today. Very interesting points that he made. And I think I must share that with our viewers. It wasn't open for the rest of the media, only for the Pakistan media. Very interesting points that he puts forward. Unlike all the jingoism that is happening in Pakistan from their media, as well as fans on social media everywhere, their former president, all of them talking about it. So it's not a, rare one or two people or just rare noise coming out. It's generally a huge amount of people, and there's a lot of noise, which is why it is trending, where they've been taking this narrative that India is scared for whatever reason. Rizwan was very measured in his statements. He said that, to say that, we were on top in that game. He was asked that question in that Palekale game. He said, no. He said, on the face of it, it looks like that. This is Rizwan himself saying. He said, on most grounds, you would say, 266, the team chasing his favorite. He said, not there. It was a very challenging total. He said that. He said, I would have believed, I would have believed on God. I would have believed in myself, and we would have believed that we would have chased it down. But let me not take away from the fact that 266 there was a challenging total. Those are his words. So, that's the difference between a cricketer and people on the periphery making noise. So he said that. He also spoke about that, whatever is happening on the outside, fans, whatever, social media, reports, planted reports here and there. He said, I don't care. We have a lot of respect for the Indian players. Indian players have a lot of respect for us, and we'd like to keep it like that. He said, we have a lot of respect for other teams as well. And so it's very professional. We want to keep it that. We want to concentrate on what we can do or how we do better, and other teams should do it. But there is no animosity or any sort of, this anger on social media bubbling over into players. So he said that as well, which I found very interesting, very measured. It's quite a nice press conference from Mohammad Rizwan ahead of that India-Pakistan game, which is why I'm saying it's great news that you have a reserve day. Most likely the game will happen. And in the report that I've just put on Sports Today, which our viewers can check out, I actually show you the ground and whether it's wet or not from very close quarters. So it's looking good right now. After 2 days of not great news, it's looking nice right now. Good news from Colombo.
I only hope that you don't activate the reserve day in the case of India and Pakistan. I just sincerely hope.
That would be one way.
Why?
I'll tell you why. See, this kind of action, okay, why I said Sri
You're
Lanka
such
is
a
on the
party pooper. Such a party pooper. Everyone wants the result. You're saying, I hope you don't activate it.
Yeah,
Very
because I want the match to end on the 10th. Why not?
Yeah.
In that way,
Okay.
I'll tell you why. This kind of action that what Nikhil said about reeks of short-term tokenism from the ACC and the ICC, because for the Asian Cricket Council and for the International Cricket Council, it's very easy to play around with Sri Lanka. Look who gets the majority of the peak.
My point is, Siddharth, why the Sri Lankan board is not saying anything?
They can't say anything.
You are more angry. You are more angry than the Sri Lankan board. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because Sri Lanka are in no position to. See, it's like they are like waiting for some arms to come from heaven, and they have finally got it. Now they cannot speak against that. That is their situation. What about by constant
God
negligence
helps
that the top teams won't
those,
travel?
God helps those who help themselves. If they're not going to speak for themselves, if they're not going to help themselves, you and I can't help them.
We are in no position to help them, because look, in the long term, what's going to happen in the ACC and the ICC after the Asian Championships is done? Because see, we all know that the build-up for this has not been Sri Lanka's hosting or anything in that sense. It's the rain. The rain has dominated Palakele and Colombo. Now we are seeing the chances of rain subside in Colombo. Thank goodness for that, because we would want to see every match get done on the scheduled day and players have rest. Because remember, India will have a possibility that suppose they play on the 11th, they'll have to play on the 12th. Back-to-back ODIs that they've not played since 2018. They played Hong Kong and Pakistan on ODI in 2018 in even tougher conditions in the UAE. Now 12th, and look at the providence. 12th, India, Sri Lanka, but 13th there is no game. So are you going to activate a reserve day even for that also? I'm just stating that Pakistan and India just want to mollycoddle Sri Lanka and saying, oh please, let us get it there. PCB, because their ego, they want to say, oh, we want to host it in Pakistan only. BCCI, a compromise solution, let's keep it in Sri Lanka. We don't want to go to the UAE because of injury and other things. Sri Lanka has been made the chopping block because if the weather comes and intervenes and washes out the entire super force, they'll say, oh, you should never host in Sri Lanka. But it is not their fault. You never host matches in Sri Lanka.
It is their fault. It is their fault, Siddharth. It is their fault. They should have pulled out of it. They should have pulled out of it, saying no, we don't want it. They wanted it here, and so they did put their neck on the chopping block. That's their
is the
fault.
problem.
I think they gambled. Well, then it's a problem that they've created for themselves. You can speak for somebody who is being unfairly forced into it. Let's say if they were forced into it, then I speak for those people. They've not been forced into it. They wanted it. They wanted it, knowing fully well. So they've taken that risk. So then others can't be put to task for that. Now, if I want it, if you are telling me that do not have this drink, it can knock you off. It's dangerous. Okay, and I say no, I want to. I don't care what you think. I want to, and I have it, and I'm knocked off, and I can't blame you for it, can I? You warned me.
You
told me not to. Well then you can't really. So I mean, I love your sentiment for Sri Lanka, but as I said, it's their choosing. They decided. By the way, I must also tell you that they were also not too keen for the games to go to Hambantota. They were more concerned about loss of revenue in terms of fans not coming, because not a lot of fans would have traveled to Hambantota. Colombo is easier direct flight.
Yes.
Nobody wants to go to Hambantota. Lesser place to stay. None of those things are available. They would have rather come to Colombo. Colombo, you'll get a packed house if the game happened.
Yep.
And they were mindful of those things. So clearly they had their own interest in mind and they decided to gamble with it. Well, you gamble, what happens in a gamble? Either you win big or you lose big. And that's what they decided to do. Either they'll win big, it'll be all hunky-dory. The final happens just the way they envisioned it. Otherwise, what happens is they'll lose. And then they'll get the brick bats, which you're referring to. But it's their own doing. Nobody else forced it.
That's the problem. See, an economic situation can put you in that kind of a dilemma every single time. I mean, Sri Lanka never recovered after COVID, okay? Especially their economy. They're slowly coming on the path, but it's a very slow progress. Second, top teams don't want to tour Sri Lanka that often. And how many tests or ODI super cycles that they will play against each other? Hardly 2, hardly 3. When was the last time Sri Lanka played a 3-match ODI series? 3-match T20I series or 3-match test series. When was the last time? Sri Lanka is in that bottom periphery as far as acceptance is concerned. Which is why all the concern that the BCCI is showing, for Sri Lanka, It's a smoke screen. They don't care about Sri Lanka. They just want to ensure we don't fall behind in the ego tussle with the PCV. So we are sticking to it. And we are seeing a bigger game unfold here. Sri Lanka and Pakistan. I mean, see, Pakistan played 3 ODIs here. Hammantota and Colombo against Afghanistan. Pakistan players are playing in the Lanka Premier League. Sri Lanka players are playing in the Pakistan Super League.
I have just 5 minutes left on my chat. I want to talk about India, Pakistan. That game is going to happen. I think we spent the entire show talking about Sri Lanka. Let's move to the big draw where viewers are interested in India, Pakistan. Good news is that the Indian team is going to be out for practice. Pakistan team is going to be practicing tomorrow. They've had a long flight, so it all looks all set. As I told you, Rizwan saying that they've been working very hard to be number one. Though I wanted to point out while he was talking about number one, that they're not the number one team anymore. It's Australia back again. Maybe tomorrow in the press conference I'll point that out. So I'd love to know your thoughts. India, Pakistan, what are you guys expecting?
Well, 19 years later they are playing in Colombo at the R. Premadasa, and we all know what happened last time when there was a very controversial finish to it, which I'll be doing about it after the show ends. It all involved one certain bonus point, and that was a very key encounter because Pakistan, the way how it finished, it ensured India reached the final. But now, two teams, I mean, Pakistan have a slight edge going by what they did in Palakele. It's going to be a good match. I mean, Colombo always has produced good wickets. Equal contest between bat and ball. I would say a 280, 290 score. Chasing it down, I think any team that chases here in Colombo will have an edge. So, if the rain stays away, I think India should start as one of the favourites. Should.
I mean, yes, it's quite exciting because for the one of the rare times that India and Pakistan are at par, the teams are at par when it comes to skills and all of that. So I think it's going to be an exciting match, but please, no rain. That's all.
Yeah.
We're just hoping and praying that there's not going to be any rain.
Yeah. See,
which is impossible.
As far as the trend is concerned, it never, there's not much of rain during the afternoon time, towards evening.
But you never know. We've seen it happening now.
Yep. Towards evening time, there is a threat, big threat. So that's the reason why.
Harshit?
Well, the same, the fact that actually the first one got washed away, there is greater anticipation now for the second one. And for, let's say, that reason, as a neutral also, I would say you would want that reserve day, let's say, because you finally want that India-Pakistan contest, which didn't happen earlier on. So, hopefully, there is a winner this time around, and it's not the Rains that end up winning. So, yeah, just a full game and an enjoyable game of cricket.
Yep, I really hope so, because enough of the rain build up, enough of being meteorologists here.
If at all, God forbid, if at all there is rain though, I'd at least want India to bowl first, because that is something I couldn't watch last time around.
Jasprit Bumrah.
Yep, I wish they do bowl, but then again.
By the way, Rizwan said that, he pointed out, he said, when I was talking about that total, he said it was a challenging total in Palakele, and he spoke about India's bowling. He said, their bowling is pretty good. You can't take them lightly. They're a good bowling unit, and it would have been very tough for us to chase. So he did point that bit out as well.
Yep, but dictated according to the match situation, just don't bat for the heck of it, just don't bowl for the heck of it. Look at the match situation, conditions, and then base your decision on that, just because they want practice.
Well, we've heard all of that, but it was another part of the world from another captain. Let's just hope it's not a repetition of that.
We hope so. With India, you want to copy, na? That's always the thing. Yeah. If there's a number 8 problem, we copy England or Australia. If it's any other kind of thing.
But Nikhil, very quickly before we run out of time, if you're still with us, could you quickly tell us?
Yeah.
There were just a few players, let's say we came out and saw them bat yesterday in that indoor session, if I'm not wrong, that took place. Today, under Lights Team India preparing, anything you've been able to pick as to what to expect from the upcoming session?
Nothing, we'll only know when the session happens. All I can tell you is that they would be practicing under light. It will be a mix of main ground training as well as the outside nets that they have here. And also it's a full practice today. So we only had 6 players last time. You'll have the full team come out and practice. We'll get to see Jasprit Bumrah now in full view back from Mumbai, as well as you'll get to see KL Rahul also. Apart from the indoor, he'll be doing outdoor. So you'll probably get to see him do some wicket keeping drills. So all of that is going to be interesting. Those are the things to look forward to.
Perfect. Do also watch out for KL Rahul doing his wicket keeping drills. That is something that continues to be asked on the platform as well. Thank you so much, Nikhil, I think we're short of time. We'll before we wrap up the chat, in fact, quickly have a look at some of the questions.
Yeah,
as well.
let's have some of the comments. Yeah,
Lots
please.
and lots of comments that you guys have been wanting us to take for a while. So
Yeah.
we'll quickly just jump into those comments.
Okay, so Vishal Panchal from the US is saying, money talks. IPL is the culprit, even though it did help local cricketers to make some money. I hope Test cricket still exists in my lifetime. I mean, see, as Nikhil pointed out,
I don't think Test is going anywhere.
it might. Because, see, now there won't be much of.
So it'll just be T20.
Maybe. And league system. I'll tell you why. Because look at the economics 110 crore for the entire Asia Cup. How much is it for an IPL? One match, 118 crores. That is one match in the IPL.
And right now, ODI is what, fetching you 67 crores? 67 crores is what you're looking at as earnings from one ODI.
On ODI. That's half that of an IPL game. So he is right. I mean, money will be your major contributor, and you are going to see some formats die because under the sheer weight of that money. So Vishal Panchal, yeah, even I also hope that Test cricket exists for some time. But yeah, with this World Test Championship cycle, there is a bit of a hope.
There is a bit of a hope, and there is a bit of a hope given the kind of cricket that, let's say, teams like England have started to play, wherein the approach now is to now bring out a result, to enforce a result.
Yeah.
That's what we've seen England do. It can be foolhardy at times, but it does produce a result nonetheless. But that could be one of the things.
But even Test cricket will die if only your top three continue to play amongst each other. I'm sorry. The novelty of a rivalry just exists, just goes out of the window. India, Australia, India, England, fight us.
There aren't any fight. You aren't even playing South Africa for 5 tests.
Only 2 tests.
Only 2 tests against South Africa also.
Which is why this kind of a situation where there is, in the case of the Asia Cup, it was known blatant favoritism because of all the economics. In the ICC, there is behind the scenes favoritism in the big three. And that's the thing.
Thomas de Cruz.
Thompson de Cruz.
We missed one.
Okay, Sarvesh Gaurav was saying, no other sports is so money-minded. SL and Bangla should boycott. But how? How,
See,
Sarvesh?
if they had the leverage, I'm sure they would have.
Yeah, but
It's
they
just that both the boards are, it's like actually entering the ring only to realize that you're lightweight and you're coming up against a heavyweight.
Bringing a knife to a gunfight.
I mean, not that also. You're asking an ant to topple an elephant. That is the thing. You're asking an ant to topple an elephant. I mean, look at the earnings of the BCCI, look at the earnings of the PCB.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka and Bangladesh are 1/10 or half of it. That is the problem. Money will talk. If they say Bangladesh and Sri Lanka should boycott, oh great. Whatever other days that are scheduled for their games, let's all keep it India-Pakistan. In a neutral venue. You wanted that, na? That is what's going to happen. It's only going to be India-Pakistan in the Asia Cup. Then Thompson de Cruz, let's call it for what it was. This is a flawed Asia Cup. Agreed. But then see, if there is no rain and if all the games turn out to be good, then you'll all praise Sri Lanka's
That's
hosting.
actually, and that's what you hope for this tournament to remain controversy free and for there to be no statements of bias that get made. And there is valid reason, as we've been saying all along as well, for a section of the fans, especially if you're a Sri Lanka or a Bangladesh fan, there is reason for you to have animosity towards the BCCI, more so towards the ACC at the moment. The only one way is perhaps you need the divine intervention, let's say, happen on Sunday and there be no rains that disrupt that particular match.
Yeah, Vishal
Vishal Panchal is saying sports mixed with money. If cricketers' salaries drop by 50%, still they will make more money than many people in their lifetime, and I include all sports. Not all sports, I wouldn't say that.
I mean, in India, athletics, unfortunately, they don't get that much.
Yeah.
You still have to fight the system to ensure that you get to sponsorships and all those kind of things. Yeah, so as far as it's only cricket in India.
It's cricket that pays you incredibly.
Yeah.
You can live in the top 1%.
Yep. Thompson de Cruz is very sad about the state of the BCCI at this point in time. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but that's how it is.
But maybe
it is what it is.
It's BCCI what it's doing at the moment. BCCI for the longest time, let's not forget, was also the receiving end of such behavior as well from some of the more arrogant boards.
Which is why I am really wondering as to If they have experienced it, they shouldn't do it to the others. Why are they doing it? So, Shubham Garg, as usual, wants to have a go at me, saying, Sid, please stick to facts. Sri Lanka played 3-match series versus India in January only. No, that was a
Tests, we were saying.
2-match.
No, ODI was 3, no?
I forget ODI. I'm talking about test matches.
So he mistook you over there.
Okay, I just said 3 ODIs, but I meant 2 tests.
Yeah.
It was test series. When was the last time since 2017? That was the last time we played a 3-test series against Sri Lanka.
Which is, I remember I went to it. There was one match in Nagpur as well.
No, I'm
Yes.
talking about
Test cricket.
when
na?
India came to Sri Lanka. When India came to Sri Lanka,
okay,
remember the tour wash? 3-0 final, 1-0.
Yeah.
That was that.
I remember watching when Sri Lanka came to India.
There were 3 tests even in 2017: Kolkata, Nagpur, and Delhi. And you
Yes.
remember Delhi, how air pollution destroyed the
Exactly.
Sri Lankan
Vomiting.
cricketers. And the Indian fans' audacity, look at it. Oh, they're all weak. Excuse me. Delhi's AQI is 1,000 times much more polluted than Sri Lanka. Colombo. Polluted.
What a beautiful city.
Colombo is a brilliant city. Yeah, so that is the situation. So Akhil Sharma, Sri Lanka is last time Asia Cup champion. They can or they should have a say. They can't have a say. They can't, because defending champions, they're just on paper. On money, they are way down in the pegging list.
Yeah.
It's like the Karzdar. Okay, in those movies, in the Bollywood movies, they'll come. Okay, all you suit bootwalas, come, please, we'll give you the money. All the others, they're like, no, you stay in line, come later, talk to the Munim. That's how Sri Lanka is at this point in time. So, freaking awesome. Thank you so much, yaar. You guys don't allow ugly politics influences you. Well, freaking awesome. I, for one, I have always been very, very sympathetic to the Sri Lankan cricket situation. I mean, they don't get much of the top teams coming and playing them on a regular basis. When was the last time Sri Lanka played a 4-test series? When was the last time they played a 5-match series? Why can't it just be, why it has to be only the right of Australia, England and India to have it?
Yeah.
And India are a late entrant, by the way, into this. They were also kept out.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. So, do you think KL will be back in the squad or have to wait? Akash Bharadwaj, that can be a debate for tomorrow. But I think, see, if you need to give KL time, you have to play him from 10th.
Yeah.
There is no other way. Because, see, you are also dealing with the spectre of rain interruptions, and there's only one reserve day. There isn't a reserve day for every India game. So, if 12th abandoned, then direct 15th.
Yeah.
Every single day time is running out. So that is.
I like Sachin Kashyap's comment though. He says that EPL is an example of all teams getting limelight. What if Sri Lanka? Because I think what he is trying to say is, because I really like the revenue sharing model of the Premier League for that matter.
Yeah.
So 50% of whatever the television rights get sold for, 50% of that gets equally distributed amongst the teams of all, let's say 20 top flight Premier League clubs. Then what happens is the remaining 25 then gets distributed on merit basis.
Yep.
And the other 25 that remains is then given, if I'm not wrong, basis facilities. I think that's the name that's given to it. That is also then given accordingly. So at least there is some place for merit.
Yep.
There is some equality as well. So that's how EPL is in fact, that was in fact La Liga is not actually a good reflection of how money sharing should happen, because La Liga, what happens is Real Madrid,
Nikhil pointed out,
they take the lion's share because their matches do get that kind of a fanfare.
Correct.
But the Premier League is much more holistic and equal, let's say, than some of the other leagues around.
Any other comment? Varun Parvatneni had a comment, in fact. So, yeah, Varun Parvatneni saying, keeping aside all politics and our opinions at the end of the day, I'm happy as a fan to have a reserve day for India versus Pakistan so that we expect that quality pace attack before World Cup, irrespective. But Varun, again, we are speaking from the privileged perspective, because luckily or unluckily, you are an Indian cricket fan. If you were a Sri Lankan cricket fan or if you were a Bangladesh, you would not have been saying
an
this.
uproar.
You would have said the same.
And remember, this only confirms the fact that India is in that elitist club. It's like an elitist club that
lead board right now.
Yes, they are an elitist club where they will not allow any kind of development. Simple.
Bhavan.
Prithvi Patnaik. Sir, I think India is at number 5th in terms of winning the World Cup. They would need a miracle to win it, according to me. he's pushing for Surya Kumar Yadav. That miracle is sky. Team management have to find a way to play him. My suggestion would be open with Virat and Rohit and play Sky at number 3. My goodness. What about Shubman Gill, Prithvi? Shubman Gill just like that. Abandon. Go.
It's just too
Make him the
drastic.
finisher.
Drastic, yaar. Prithvi
It's too
even.
drastic suggestion also.
I would actually be like, boy, he has guts, huh?
You turn off the TV.
Rohit and Virat opening. Why would I keep two anchors?
At the moment, the one thing that Indian cricket fans don't want is any more
Exactly.
experiments.
We want stability.
Stability, yaar.
You have for almost a year now been praying that your core play together, be together. Perhaps for the first time in about a year, you will see that core play and be named together on the team sheet. That is also with an asterisk because you don't know. That will also stir up, a storm.
Hornet's nest, yeah.
Because that would also mean perhaps putting Ishan Kishan on the sidelines.
Yes.
If you are to play with your so-called core.
How will you fit in Ishan and KL? That is the biggest problem. I don't think you can in this
You
team.
do that, then Shreyas goes out.
Shreyas
You are
goes out.
reliant on him to be your permanent number 4.
Yeah.
All long-term injury players will have to get game time from now till November. Simple. Bumrah has to get every game time. Shreyas has to get every game time. Gill, he just recovered from form against
If you
Nepal.
don't want any headaches, you would then hope that KL doesn't get you runs. If you want a headache to be there and for you to then make a decision
All three
and
of
perhaps make some fans happy and some not so
Yeah.
happy, then you would need both of them get runs and then make that hard call on D-Day or let's say in that Australia series.
I am saying KL gets unreal hate. It's not his fault that he gets injured on a regular basis. And that too, wave of injuries, yeah. It's not his fault.
It's always compounded by something else.
Something else. I mean, imagine he had just recovered from a thigh injury, all surgery done.
Another
Last days of the drill, he got a nickel.
Yeah. Also, that COVID, while he was recovering from COVID, that would have been really bad.
Yeah, I mean, see, not many people don't tend to realize that many people have not recovered significantly from COVID.
Yeah.
Lingering after effects still remain.
Exactly.
So that's why people think, oh, COVID, he must have recovered. He's an elite sportsman. No, there will be some comorbidity that will exist. That's why COVID is lethal.
Your US First Lady just got infected by COVID a couple of days back. The Spanish Premier also, I think, got...
The new wave is coming. There is a new wave of COVID.
Or spike in the COVID case.
No, there is a new strain, and that new strain is causing a big spike. So you think COVID has gone away? No, COVID will never ever go away. Because once a virus has come, it stays in this world forever.
From someone who's got it twice,
Yeah.
please go away.
Exactly. So, that's it, but that's about it. But brave comment from Prithvi Patnaik, huh? Very brave comment.
Anyhow, it's been a long chat with you guys.
Long? I thought we just started, it was a good discussion.
So,
You were
full
swayed
1
by
hour.
emotion today.
Yeah.
But you
Totally.
had every right to Siddharth. So were we. I think we were with you in that.
For the sake of fairness, I think all the economics aside, economics can't buy you fairness. That's how a capitalist economy works. And a socialist economy is no thing also that equality also can give you financial gain. That's not been proven ever. So,
True.
very sad.
Can't disagree with you.
Very sad. So, that's about it, folks. Nikhil will be giving you plenty of updates from the R. Premadasa Stadium. And
He's already uploaded a video.
Yep.
He's given you, a match. He's actually
ground
talked about
situation.
The ground situation and what the playing conditions on the day could be like since the match will be played over there. So do check out that
Yep.
video. He will continue to give you all the updates from the ground. The latest that we have from him is it was a sunny day, so you can look forward to having a full game of cricket on Sunday.
let's not
And
jinx it.
I think the outfield will not be a problem because Sri Lanka's groundsmen cover the entire field.
Yeah.
Some moisture a little, but super soppers, it should be a piece of cake for
What
them.
was the last game where there was heavy rain for like 2-3 hours?
In Palakele.
Palakele.
India, Nepal, remember?
Oh yeah, and the game was still played.
It was played, but then just another 5-7 minutes of rain, that's it, run called off. But Sri Lanka's groundsmen, salute to them. In the worst of conditions, paid little, but they do a fantastic job. I mean,
I think when it comes to deciding, the player in the series, it should actually be
yes.
The groundsman.
Exactly, it should be the groundsman who should be given a
Yes,
special
not
award.
all the people who pull those covers, that backroom stuff. The groundsman can take the credit, but the backroom staff deserve every
Fabulous
bit of
job.
appreciation. I mean,
Fabulous job.
there is a lot to learn from Sri Lanka, a tiny nation who's fought the odds every single time, and yet Because of Sri Lanka's maneuvers, England and India are wanting to learn. Stuart Broad and Joe Root stated that, oh, why can't we follow the Sri Lankan system?
Yeah, this
Saurav Ganguly
very recently at the during the
Old Trafford test.
during the Old Trafford test. Well, I think Nasser also made a comment as to why you cannot cover the entire ground.
Exactly.
Only a section of the part is.
I always salute Sri Lanka for whatever it is. So we are building up for India Pakistan. Hopefully no more rain. Today, in the next half an hour, you'll see a special video about the last time that these two folks played, and boy was it controversial, and how it helped India in a big way. Check out that video of India and Pakistan. We are building it up. Tomorrow is the first Super 4 game in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh. Sri Lanka are on the cusp of a very special milestone if they beat Bangladesh. But for Bangladesh to stay alive, they will want to ensure that,
because their net run rate has taken a big hit. Really,
and that too, if they lose this, they're all but out.
Really got hammered by Pakistan the other day.
And why would Bangladesh want to protest? I mean, I didn't get that. I can understand Sri Lanka's thing.
See, they have every right. Who knows how it turns out to be? What if India's all 3 games get affected?
No, but Bangladesh should have lost 2. They're anyway out of contention. Sri Lanka only I can understand. I can't understand Bangladesh because they played in Lahore. So they had a full game.
They've had one, but if they are denied, let's say, opportunity
if they win against Sri Lanka,
exactly,
then
exactly. Speaking just of permutation combinations, they're still mathematically alive.
Yeah, but if they lose tomorrow, then they have no moral right to protest. That's it. So tomorrow is Sri Lanka versus Bangladesh, the first Super 4 game in Sri Lanka. Let's hope the rain stays away at that time. We all will be here in Sports Today to preview that. From me, Harshad, Gargi, and to all our family members, thank you, good night. And once again, thank you to all your love for getting us past 200K. It was a fantastic effort from all of you guys. Thank you so much.
We need more.
Yep, indeed. So, bye-bye.